Welcome to CaCo Talks, the weekly podcast where conversations about life, hot topics, mental health, and more take center stage. We are your hosts, Catelyn and Courtney Geiger.
Together, we explore thought-provoking discussions with an ambient vibe that inspires open and honest dialogue. So sit back, relax, and join us for some insightful conversation that will leave you feeling informed and inspired.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CaCo Talks. Today we're doing kind of a healing exercise that I found on TikTok. I honestly just came across it kind of randomly. It's called, or it doesn't even have a name. Basically, what this group of people were doing was they went away, I guess, to a church retreat, and they decided as a healing activity to grieve their unmet expectations of life. And I guess I don't want to put the other person's business out there, but I won't say any names or anything. But so what one of the young ladies was talking about was she was kind of grieving and laying to rest basically her expectations of somebody who had, I think, assaulted her in the past, forgiving them for not forgiving them, sorry, but laying to rest the expectation that they would ever apologize to her. So I thought that would be a really interesting exercise for us to do. Catelyn is still kind of I don't know which way direction to go about it, kind of unsure about it. You want to chime in a little bit?
Wait, say that again?
You said you were a little unsure about this exercise, and I just want to know why you were a little unsure about it.
Oh, well, it's not that I'm not unsure necessarily. It's just I'm not really sure. There's some things I need to let go of. But what I was saying to Courtney was that I think we were first initially talking about it in reference to our expectations for life.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought you meant what we hope to become and, dreams and career and things like that. But now that you gave that example, I think I see what you mean. It's more of
it's grieving what you felt, or I don't want to say what you felt, kind of something you were holding on to, tied to a trauma like this, or
yeah.
Almost Iyanla would have a perfect word for it.
For sure.
Yeah, I know I've heard her say this on the show before, but it's something she said forgiveness is giving up the expectation that the past could have been any different. And I think that's what this is they're giving up, they're laying to rest the expectation that the past or could have been any different, or somebody could have improved or done something better or whatever. So that's what I was talking about. It's kind of
got it, I see.
Any unmet, and that's what they call it, the unmet expectations. You expected somebody to, she's in her case, apologize, or somebody to step up and say, hey, I'm gonna treat you differently this way, or I'm gonna treat you, or, you know what I mean? I think that's what they're saying, because again, we cannot control other people. All we can do is forgive. I think it's just a really interesting forgiveness exercise.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I thought it would be interesting to do. Obviously, they're doing it in the context of a church retreat, so we don't want to do that here necessarily for the religious aspect of it. But I do think the exercise could be good. It's a really, it doesn't make you, it's not just, oh, what somebody did wrong to me. This is what person did wrong to me. It's thinking of what was I expecting different from that person after they wronged me. Because I think we do that too when we hold on to things for a long time. I was expecting so-and-so to change or be better or say this more, or you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Yeah.
I think my other, not necessarily worry about this, but it's where is the, I understand these things, a lot of things in this particular scenario, people are maybe doing something to you. But there has also to be a level of accountability in that.
Yeah.
So that, I'm not going to lie, in watching that video, I heard what they were saying, but I think also too, it was, and I think that is a part of the healing process, but I didn't really hear much accountability either. So it was
That's true.
Okay.
Well, there was only one example in that video.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what everybody else said.
Yeah, true.
So, and the one example was an assault thing. So I can't assume that this person necessarily did anything. I mean, maybe they did, but if they were I was assuming she was sexually assaulted. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
So if they were a child and sexually assaulted, I'm not going to assume that you provoked.
Oh yeah. No. I don't mean accountability in what I did to make this person do this to me. I mean going forward. I want to make sure that I'm not maybe I don't put myself in these spaces. Maybe I like
Yeah.
advocate for those who, experience similar things or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Not necessarily like it's your fault. Like, no. That's not what I mean by accountability at all. But the reason why I say like the lack of accountability is just because I think that like the difficult thing about interactions with other people is other people don't have the same perspective that you have. You know what I mean? And so their understanding of things could be more or less than yours. They may know that, hey, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but like it's like, oh, it also could be normal to them because maybe it happened to them. Not saying that that's an excuse, but that's why I say like accountability, just because going forward, you have to actively make a choice to do something different, or you just become the same thing. And I think the culture of just like, oh, well, you did this to me and I expected XYZ makes it harder to change the narrative going forward.
Yeah. I mean, no, I hear that. I do think, that's why I'm hoping this exercise we could shift it towards more something that was like you said, taking more accountability and removing the kind of like Christian aspect of it. Because I think the meat and potato of it is like, that's like the same thing that Iyanla was doing on her show, is like helping people realize, like, let go of whatever the expectation was for this person to have been better or this thing to be better.
Yeah.
And I just thought it'd be interesting for us to do.
Facts. Okay.
So,
well, we can try, certainly.
Yeah. So, I guess I'll start with mine. And again, we're not sharing anything that we don't feel like we probably haven't already halfway said, or that we feel is like too vulnerable. So that too. And if you like choose to do this exercise as well, maybe you can write it down or something instead of like necessarily speaking it out loud or whatever, because I do think it's intended to be kind of a personal practice, even though they did theirs in a group, but I think it was like a really intense support group for them. So I don't think they were like pretty vulnerable in that group. So definitely a safe space, not like, somebody who's just unhinged or whatever,
Okay. Kind of like a therapy session.
Yeah, it was big. It was really like a church group therapy session, I think. Yeah.
Good for them.
So, anyway, so I'll go first just to kind of like kick it off. So one of the like, I guess things I would grieve, I think, just most recently is like an expectation for a parent. Like a parent I do, like I've had obviously a deep connection with like over my lifetime. And I'm not even saying that this person has been a bad parent, but like I think I need to like grieve the for myself the loss of I guess what I assume this parent would like be at my age, if that makes sense. Like I assume this parent would be a little more which I think is probably an unfair expectation, and I'm willing to take accountability for even having that expectation in the first place. But assuming that this parent would have been more, I guess, like ideologically aligned with me. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but like more I don't know. I just thought I wouldn't have felt as abandoned by this parent. I'll just say that. But I'll put that as my like unmet expectation that I just need to like let go of, and just like it is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is that as far as you want to go with that one?
Yeah, because I just think if I think if I go any further, it'll just, I don't know, why go further?
Okay. I'm okay with that. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure. Okay. I think one thing that I want to let go of is like, I think the expectation of what the ideal, like what in our society, the ideal like family support system thing, like that's something that I've really had to let go and drop my expectations of. And not because it's like, because I don't be wrong, like, would it be great to have a family and have a support system and things like that? Absolutely. But to be fair, like looking at things, I just don't have that. I just don't have it. So it's just like
to what I was saying too. I think that those are wrapped up together for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but go ahead.
So I've just had to let go of how most people, operate with their family unit and things like that, and what people think I should be doing with, my family and things like that. But what we have to realize, and the expectation is just our family dynamics are just vastly different.
Yeah.
And it's not that I could have family, you know what I mean? If I was willing to, sit down and shut up with some things. But that's just not who I am either. So it comes a
There's
point
like a price.
of, yeah, there's a price to pay. But there also comes a point in how much are you willing to sacrifice of self in order to deal, not necessarily, maybe not deal, but to allow these people into your space.
Yeah.
And I can see if it was more of a positive situation, but typically it's more the negative side, in my personal opinion. And so that's just not, the cost of that is not worth it to me. So
Yeah.
from that, I've had to accept that the idea of family and the family that I was raised in is just not a thing. It's just not a thing, and it probably won't be a thing. So I have adopted, in my accountability in that, I have adopted that I will just create my own family with people who I, meet along the way. And if I don't meet anybody along the way, that's okay too. And I will enjoy life in big, small, medium-sized circles,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I've really come to peace with that.
I like I said, I would like to add that to what I said earlier, because I think those things. I said the word abandon, but I really mean that's a multi-layered word for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is one way I sort of also felt like abandoned, was just not having that family support structure the traditional way,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
But I think part of the thing that you have to let go in that expectation is what society tells you it should look like too.
I agree too, because I think there's other things that have been supportive, and I can't take
Mm-hmm.
away from that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can't, and I've like I said, I've seen, like, I just see other family dynamics, and I think, like, everybody's sitting around each other and being around each other, but
Mm-hmm.
where's the real, like, support? Like, where's the real, you can do this, you can make this happen, where's the real, and that's the exchange I feel like we have in our family. Like, maybe we don't have those traditional societal support systems,
Mm-hmm.
but we've never been told that we're not good enough. We've never been told that we can't do something, that we shouldn't try something, that we shouldn't
You mean
go.
like in our immediate circle or
Our immediate
extended?
circle. Yeah,
Oh,
I was
okay.
gonna say our
Yeah.
immediate circle.
Okay.
And even some of our more toxic family members haven't really said that exactly, at least in
Yeah,
my
yeah.
opinion.
No one has blatantly said that, but
Yeah, and
actions
people haven't
and
been
demeanors
really,
can prove otherwise.
yeah, actions and demeanors prove otherwise, but, like, they're, like, actual verbal, like, we didn't,
Uh-huh.
besides really our parental figure, we didn't really suffer that much, like, verbal and self-esteem abuse from our families.
Yeah.
And I'm just realizing that that's not always it. Some people are suffering that too. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, all family dynamics are very different.
Yeah.
Like, I have a really good friend. Her family dynamic is like, no matter what, you need to show up and support physically, mentally, emotionally, everybody. But everybody collectively does that. So it's not just like a one-off, or one person or one person or one side of one portion of the family has that expectation and is following through on that, and everybody else isn't. Everybody shows up for everybody. Like, I'm telling you, the whole family. And there's a bunch of them. So it's like, like, I would love to have that, but the dynamic that we have in the people that are in my family is just not that. And I had to be okay with that. I just had to be okay with that. There are different strokes for different folks,
But it is a loss. It's a loss of something, because it's like,
Oh, yeah, it
it's a
is.
loss of potential, because like you
Yeah,
said, there
I
are
can see
families
that.
that, like, they really do roll deep. They show up for people,
Yeah.
like, and it's layered, and that's really beautiful that you can do that.
Yeah.
But I also say that, like, what I just take pride in is the people who show up are people who are 10 toes down.
Yeah.
And I'm always I'm glad that even though it's two people or one person or, like, whatever, whoever is there 10 toes down. And I don't have to worry about whatever so-and-so is saying and blah, 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 all this stuff. Because, like I said, what I realize is, like, just because there's people there doesn't mean everybody is there for you.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
or are genuinely supporting.
Or
So that's
genuinely
a big one
supporting. It's
too.
like sometimes there's people
Yeah.
there who have nothing to do but hate.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I'd rather have, if I gotta have, and then you start once you take out the haters or the naysayers or whatever, then you really are already only down to 2 people maybe, So I,
Yeah.
I look at it as like, I want to build community with people who are 10 toes down for me, and I'm 10 toes down for them. Even if that's smaller groups, which
Oh,
9
yeah.
times out of 10, it usually ends up being a smaller group when people are really 10 toes
Mm-hmm.
down for you or not.
Yeah.
And that's it. Anybody would say that. So yeah, I mean, I think that's something worth grieving, is because we don't have that I can pick up the phone and call my aunt, or pick
Yeah.
up the phone and call. So like we really genuinely do not have that, so
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
very
We had one person that we could kind of do that with, but
yeah.
they're no longer a part of our lives. So
Yeah.
thanks to an actual family member who kind of fucked that up. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I mean, that just goes to show the dynamic of like how like we had a support system, and someone who is actually like considered blood related took the opportunity to destroy that. So not necessarily, and I don't know if they were thinking about it to that extent, but that is what happened. That was our one reliable person that we could count on in a lot of our lives, and thank you to this person. But the actual family member decided out of their own selfishness to go and jeopardize that. So, I think out of thinking selfishly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that just goes to show how our family unit works.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's like, I'll take the good for it. Like I said, on some level, there's like something positive we've gotten from the extended family as well.
Oh,
and
sure.
like I said, I'm just gonna give them credit where they knew to do it. I've never felt, despite some shady behaviors going on, like there was never the like put down element from them, or the like, I didn't feel like, and maybe they were on some haterade stuff, I don't know, but I never felt like I shouldn't try or shouldn't go for, or live my best life.
Well, I
As a
think the
result of
difference
whatever
is
that
we
is.
didn't rely on other people to provide that either.
And
Because
maybe
if you were
that's
relying on them
too.
to provide that, I don't think it would have worked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that could
Like,
be it too, because we had, like I said, our nuclear family was really the strongest unit for us, not the
yeah.
extended.
Exactly.
So,
and even our nuclear family, we don't rely on each other to say, go do something. It's like, if you
no, we
want to do
don't.
it,
But
then you have to pursue it.
yeah, but I think we like had a foundation of you can go and do whatever you want.
I think I
Some
don't
people don't
agree
have
with that. I think we had a foundation of confidence. And if it's something that you want to
Well,
do, then
and
you
yeah,
need to
and
go
maybe
do
that's the
it.
word.
And I
Maybe that's
think
the
that's
word.
the difference, because it wasn't necessarily like, there's some things that mom was like, nah, maybe not. But if we had our minds on it, because I think we were confident in doing a lot of things, confident was the key to this. It makes you go out and do things that you feel confident about, period.
I agree. I'm just saying some people don't have a foundation of confidence either.
Oh, I agree.
And that's why
I do agree with that.
I think that's the word I was looking for, was like, I was kind of stumbling around, but some
Mm-hmm.
people, I'm thankful for the foundation of confidence, because confidence will prevent you from some pretty nasty things in life.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I'm just saying, like, sometimes it really is strictly how your self-worth and self-confidence that prevents you from being in bad relationships, bad jobs, bad, whatever. Like
Yeah.
that. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm saying, sometimes I see people who don't have that. And it's like, oh, that's where.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, when it comes to extended family, I don't know if they were, truly
I don't
supportive
know
or
if they
not,
didn't
because I think
necessarily
it didn't matter,
supportive. Maybe it
I
didn't
just didn't
matter,
think it
but they
mattered.
didn't. I guess they weren't like not. They were like neither. I guess so. It didn't feel like
Yeah.
they were like knocking.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think the difference too is that you had less involvement with them typically too. But I don't remember like a lot of family like showing up to things for
Oh,
us.
they definitely weren't like, no, they never really physically showed up. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
like
like,
I
when we
can't
were,
remember like a graduation, a dance recital that they were there. Like,
yeah, no,
nothing.
no,
Nothing. So that's what I'm
no.
saying. Like, I don't really think it was, I don't consider that support. Like, not saying that you have to be there to support, but it was never like, I think I maybe remember like congratulation calls, maybe,
Yeah,
or like
like
a good job
well, that's what I'm
calls.
saying. That's what to me I was
Yeah.
like I was like, okay, well, at least that. At
Mm-hmm.
least the like whatever they could do, even if they didn't
Yeah.
physically
Okay.
show up. And I recognize they didn't physically show up. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely not
Mm-hmm.
physically showed up. But like like I said, the congratulation calls or just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I see you doing your thing. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what
Fair
I
enough.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And for
and
some
some
people
level,
that
that's all
is
they have.
support. So yeah, that's just what they could
Yeah.
offer. Okay, that's
And that's
fair.
what I was
Yeah, I
saying.
will
And
give
I'm
that.
grateful for that because I'm just saying some people will be in families where the person shows up at everything and they still don't hear a congratulations or they
Yeah.
still don't hear a blah, blah, blah or
Fair
whatever.
enough.
And that creates another kind of
Problem.
confidence issue, I think.
Yeah. Okay. That's
That's
fair.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that's true. And there was a form of support. It just may have looked a little different. So.
Yeah, it didn't look like physical support. I mean, they weren't doing what our mom was doing for sure.
Facts. I mean, I don't think I was expecting that, to be
No, I don't think
fair.
we were expecting it.
So,
I'm just saying, like, and I think in a lot of instances, our mother showed up for them and their families a lot more than they
oh, for
ever showed up
sure.
for us.
Oh, yeah.
Significantly more. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, and that's something to remember.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but
Yeah.
it does make it's like we're aware of it. It's like we can't, you know, there's been instances where they're like, well, why doesn't so and so come around? And it's like, frankly, half the time we don't really know you. Like we kind of, we like dealt with you in like passing, but like you never really showed up for us.
Yeah. I mean, I
Not
think like for
physically.
me, it's not like a tit for tat thing. It's not like because you didn't
I
do,
mean, it
I
doesn't
can't
have to
do.
be, but those
It
are
doesn't
ways that
have to
you
be.
bond. Those are ways that you create like relationships with people.
Mm-hmm. And I think especially like with kids, because I think like with adults, it is your role to create said relationship with said kid. You know what I mean? Not unfortunately, but you have to do the work to maintain that relationship.
Yeah.
And regardless of whatever your role is, just like the outside person, person who we would consider more of an aunt in those days, and who actually showed up and supported us, she bonded with us. You know what I mean? Like she put in the work
It
to
was
bond
more
with us.
intentional. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't even think it was something that was like, she probably wouldn't even consider it work. It was just like simply having conversations with us. That's really how that relationship was fostered. Simply just having conversations with us.
Well, yeah, she was more in line with our mother in the sense that like, even though we were little, it was
Mm-hmm.
like these are still people
Mm-hmm.
and they have interests in like how was fourth grade today? Or like
Mm-hmm.
how was,
Yeah, like how
what
was
did you do at
school?
recess? Like that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Like they really
Mm-hmm.
were like, I don't know if her and our mother were on the same page, but it was like they're little people.
Yeah, they're and not even just little people. They are future adults. Period. So they
Yeah.
treated us like that. You know what I mean? They definitely treated us like we would be an adult someday. Which majority of your life you live as an adult. So I think that was very fitting. But the thing is, I don't think our family members. I don't think our family just treated us like kids either. I just think that like they were.
They were
I
wrapped up
mean,
in their own stuff most of the
yeah, I
time.
was
And
gonna
like
say they
I
just
think
had
I
their own
respect that
things
as
to go
kids.
on. Yeah.
So they
Their own
really
demons
didn't.
to
We were
fight.
like very small on the list, and because like they have their own children and their own like lives to
Yeah.
handle, and so obviously it would make sense that we would be the first ones to like get kicked
Cut
out.
the
Like
bucket.
we're not saying that like that's what it had to be. It's just like we recognize that is what the dynamic is.
Yeah. This is just to say, because it's not to explain our whole family dynamic or anything like that.
Yeah.
This is just to say that all dynamics are very different. So removing the expectation of what your family should look like based off of someone else's, or what society is like, oh, you should have a village. And it's like, what village, babes?
And everybody doesn't have
like what
everybody.
village? So
It's okay to make
it's
your own
just,
village.
yeah, you do. You really do.
And I think I read somewhere that like the friends you make and the people you put in your circle are usually the ones that last longer just because they're
Yeah.
selected
Mm-hmm.
versus family, who is given to you. And that's not to say, because some people are like, sometimes people's family are ride or die,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I think there's nothing like having a really good friend who can
Oh,
really,
for
who
sure.
really is like, I'm standing 10 toes down and whatever too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, so.
And I think we got that understanding from seeing how our family dynamic worked, to be fair.
Yeah.
we had more extended support than we had actually like blood support.
Yeah.
So that seems even more okay. And it just shows like the different options and avenues that you can go down. That's all.
Yeah. I think that's why I see like, I guess that's, like as an adult now, I just see the importance of having really, really good friends. I think it's not even like necessarily a substitute for family, but
Yeah.
I think it's really critical to have like really good friends if you can. Just people you can surround yourself with, who you can rely on. And sometimes it's 2 or 3 people and it's like a network of people. I don't know.
Mhm.
I would encourage everybody to like think about building that network.
I think
And the
another
thing,
thing that people forget about with blood versus like extended people, like outside people, when you
mhm,
have an extended person that's outside of your family, there is a level of commitment and work that has to be input at all
yeah,
times, right?
yeah,
To show up for a said person and meet them where they are and where they need to be and things like that. Versus family, it's just like an expectation
it's like
of,
expectation and it's like given
yeah,
because
it's
you're
like,
there
oh,
already.
and then it's also you have to give me the benefit of the doubt as well if I mess up, and it's like,
Yeah. Oh, that's another conversation.
So I was watching something the other day, and they were talking about an episode of Soft White Underbelly, and the guy was saying how the most of the time I think he was on drugs, but he was saying the most of the time he would steal and stuff from his family because he knew that they would have to think twice before calling the cops because they didn't want to see him get arrested, like that type of thing. And so it
Yeah.
was just like you're constantly given the benefit of the doubt because we are related, and I
Yeah.
think that level
That
of benefit of the
allows
doubt doesn't really. I mean, sometimes it sticks, but it's like, okay, there's a end to this with
there should be.
outside folk.
I just think traditionally there has been no end to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Traditionally. And
Until today,
frankly,
baby.
yeah, I mean, our generation is thinking about these things critically. But
Yeah.
like previously, and we know how our parent thinks about it is very different. It's very so and so's family. So, you know, and I just think that allowance or excuse, frankly, sometimes has allowed other people to get hurt. Yeah, I mean, just like the person on Soft White Underbelly was saying, I think sometimes we think that like who ends up getting hurt in that situation? The family
hmm
members. The other family members trying to quote protect. The person that they're trying to protect is the person who's getting their money stolen,
Yeah.
you know. So, yeah, I just think I think we just got to cut all that out. Like family is something obviously you're born into, but I don't think you got to hold this expectation of them for forever.
No, I agree. That's why I say you gotta let go of it, you know. And
Yeah.
I think too that like what they don't account for is that everybody's family dynamic is going to look different. You have different
Yeah.
personalities. You have different walks of life. You have different traumas. You have different healing processes. I mean, and, like everything is different from individual to individual. So it's just not going to always look the same. So,
Yep. Yeah. I feel like I had something else to say, but
what's your next on the
um,
list?
next unmet expectations that I would like to grieve. Um, hmm, the first one's kind of like summed up a bunch of stuff actually. Um, mm, I guess. Well, I talked about that one parent. Let's do the other one.
While we're on it, might as well hit the number
Yo.
two.
Um, I mean, we've talked about this other parent in depth, frankly, but I think I just like to grieve the unmet expectation that this person could have been any, could have had any kind of remorse or moment of enlightenment about their behavior and how damaging their behavior has been. Because obviously, it's affected us in different ways, and it's affected us for a long time. Um, and just some of the frankly abuse that we like suffered under this parental figure. Um, like I think I gave that up a while ago, but I think that's important to continue to grieve and make sure I'm like really let go of. Is like this person couldn't have been a different type of person because they didn't know how to, or they didn't want to, or whatever. Like I used to really like rack my brain as a kid, like why does this person treat us like this way? Why? why us? And it was like, that's just not the question to ask. There really is no why us. This person treats everybody like that. It's really this person. You know what I mean?
I differ on that. I think it is not just. I think it's beyond just the person. I think, like how I was saying, environment, situation, lack thereof of even seeing how to do it. This person was raised in a very similar situation to us in a way.
Yeah.
So their bottom barrel of
They didn't have any foundation.
improvement was a good step for them. And I recognize that. I actually, for the second parent, I have a lot of empathy for this person, because I don't understand some of the choices, but I do empathize with some of the rationale. Like, obviously, I'm not in the person's head to know their thought processy. But I do empathize because of how this person was also raised and things like that.
I guess I need a better picture of how they were raised, because I just see them as like, I just feel like you could still make different choices, but maybe
I think you
I'm
can make
thinking
different
of-
choices, but I think also too exposure also matters, and I don't think exposure was really a thing, to be fair. Until I think it was too late. Like, exposure was maybe like our mom, for example. That's late. That's very late. And then not only the exposure was also in the midst of having kids, which is, I think
that's too late.
It's just too late. Yeah. Like, parenting, in order to critically think about parenting, I think you have to critically think even before you have the kid, before conception. And also critically think, you have to be in the mindset to critically think in the hard moments, the good moments, the bad moments during parenting as well. I don't think if you do it, it's hard to start critically thinking while you're already a parent. Because I don't think you have to think about how you're going to show up as a parent first, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not a parent, so this is how I think about it. But
I just think this person should not have had access to women and children. I don't think they should have.
I mean, I think we say that in hindsight.
They should have been part of the, like, non-reproductive category of.
Yeah, but you know how many other people can go in that category? I know. I mean, a list of people.
I think there's a lot of people who shouldn't.
Yeah, there's a list of people.
Unhealed. They're deeply unhealed.
No, I agree. But I mean, I think that at the end of it, that's just not how science. That's not how. I won't even say science, but that's not how human reproduction works. It's not about whether your personality is fit for parenting. If you do X, you have Y, and the product of that is Z, which is children. Okay, so
yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I guess I just came to this conclusion recently. I think, we say so much. Everybody deserves love. Everybody deserves a family. Everybody deserves this lifestyle, this like American dream lifestyle. And I think that word deserves puts a lot of effed up thoughts into people's minds, right? Like, I have to have this. I need to have this. It is my right to have it. I think what we should start saying is everybody can earn a family. Everybody can earn a, children and a spouse, whatever. And that by doing the internal work to unlearn trauma, by unlearning all of these things to be a good partner parent. You have to earn
I can agree with that, because I think
things that you
earning
just
it requires a level of work, right?
Yeah, and
not just
I'm saying in previous, even today, there's this expectation that because I'm a human male or female, I deserve a family, and that's putting all kinds of whatever into the universe and atmosphere, and we see that every day. You can earn it.
I agree. I think that's like somewhat of the difference of our generation, though, is like there's a lot of people who still feel like you are supposed to do X, Y, and Z. But there's a lot of individuals who are critically thinking about parenting. And
a lot more now.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are critically thinking about parenting in a lot of aspects, and of like child-free individuals. You have married couples who are choosing to remain child-free. You have people who are critically thinking about how they're going to parent if they do want to parent. You have people thinking about being single mothers to maybe to have a a child who it is not raised in trauma,
Yeah.
being the relationship of their parent being traumatic for them. You have people who just want to adopt and help those kids out, right? You have single parents who just want to adopt and help those kiddies out. So I mean, the structure of family is changing, which I think it needs to change in order to get people to see that it requires work, and you're gonna have to do your part. You're gonna have to show up in that.
Yeah, because I think the old structure of like everybody will just find a good spouse and will just get married and have these wonderful children who go and achieve amazing things and then do the same thing all over and over again is not only archaic, it's like things are messier than that.
Yeah,
Like,
they are, and
consistently messier than
kids
that.
are more dynamic than that. Just because you have a
Yeah.
baby and baby's good at 1 doesn't mean baby's going to be good at 2. Doesn't mean
Or
they're going to be
5.
good at 15
Yeah.
or however that dynamic looks.
Things
This
shake
kid is
out
going to
differently.
experience life. You also, as a parent, can't be there all the time. So this kid may experience things that you're not even aware this kid is experiencing. On top of, you are solely responsible for this life in all aspects. You're providing food, shelter, water, emotional needs, physical needs, all needs, right? With nothing as a reward. Nothing. That's what people, this is one thing that with second parent that I don't understand. This is the one thing I don't empathize with is I owe you nothing. So, you and said person decided to have babies or not, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. We're here now. And I owe you nothing because of that, I owe you nothing. That is one thing I cannot wrap my head around.
That to me is where the deserve comes in. Is like this person really believes, probably through narcissism, that they deserve access to the people they helped create. I don't know. And again, like I said, you earn people's, respect, love.
Yeah.
I don't want to say loyalty, but fidelity, faithfulness, whatever people, you earn people wanting to be around you.
But I think from my understanding of some of the things that I've heard growing up was that this person really didn't have to earn. It was just kind of a given because of things. Like people were attracted because of skills and talents and smartness and things like that. So there wasn't a level, I don't think, of having to earn. It was just always given. So turn that into, fast forward years and years and years into adulthood. It makes sense why this person feels like everything is owed because they never had to work for things. And that is one of my quarrels with, about my being child free versus maybe being a parent debacle, internal debacle, right? That is one of my things is I don't want to have an only child. There's a lot of key things that I feel like you learn from being a child, a child of a multiple or being a sibling. Just in simple things like you have to share your simple space. You have to share, it's not just only and solely about you, which changes the dynamics.
I think you can still be, if you're an intentional parent.
But I think it's hard to be intentional when you're only child, when everything has only revolved around you. Like, I think it's hard because all you've had to ever focus on for however many years that you were alive was you. So you bring a kid and your focus is still you because it's not going to change just because you have a kid. I've never seen a single parent, children of an only child. Most of the time, I've never seen a parent not be selfish in that. And I'm not saying that parents can't be selfish, because I think there has to be a level of selfishness. You cannot give your child something that you don't have yourself, right? But I do think in those times of like hardship and things, and I don't have kids, so this is in my observation from being on the outside of like being people who are only children with children. But they operate very differently. Like it's like hard for them to even do something like sacrificing because everything has always been about them. And so now that they have a kid, it's just like nothing's changing, Nothing's changing. They still see that like I think they will provide the bare minimum of things and whatnot. But it's just so hard for them to see outside of self because they've never had to.
Maybe. Well,
And then you have a power
Yeah, I
dynamic
can
of
see
child
that.
versus parent. So that like also aids into that.
I think I could see that. I'm just saying I don't want to throw all single birth, single children under the bus as like they're all just like these awful narcissistic
Oh no,
villains.
I don't think they're all awful. I
I'm
don't
just
think they're all
saying,
awful. I do want to make a disclaimer that they're not all awful. I just think the dynamic is very different from your singletons to your siblings, like the kids who
yeah,
have siblings. It's very, very different. Like, not saying that it's always this, but in a sibling relationship, there's always some level of sacrifice. Always.
yeah,
Somebody is sacrificing at some point. If it's something simple like dinner, but you're constantly having to do that. And you're constantly like, okay, well, Courtney likes, like something
you have
simple
to
like Christmas.
consider.
Courtney likes, like when say we were doing the Christmas tree, Courtney likes the color yellow. I like the color blue. Okay, we have to at least come to a consensus in the house on what color we're going to make the tree and the ornaments this year, because you like this color, I like that color.
Yeah,
Versus an only child, it's just, if I say it, it goes, period. In all
yeah.
aspects of life.
I mean, I think if you're gonna it's the parent's job to be very intentional about you. Make sure that you watch out for other people.
Oh
That you
yeah, I
like
mean, I think even in the
are
intention, because you can have
aware and
cousins
like.
and things. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all I said.
I was gonna say you can even be intentional, I think, but it still doesn't take away from that. Pretty much, this person, how like this person's world is. So, as a parent to a singleton, you are the parent. You are fostering everything for this child. They still
Yeah.
have the sense of, oh, it's just all about me. Which it is, because they are, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's the singleton's fault. I don't think it's the parent's fault. I just think it's like, that's just how the dynamic goes with just being an only child. Like, I don't think there's anything, I don't even think a parent could really fix it unless you have another
Totally
child.
blame his really warped personality and abusive tactics on the fact that he was
Oh, no,
just
I'm not
created.
blaming the abuse. I'm saying that I think that has a larger impact than what me and you can be aware of or
Right.
or
Maybe, yeah.
notice. Just because
I mean,
we
I can
have
see that.
children, we have siblings. Like, me and you have never known life without each other. So we've always had to, at a bare minimum, of be conscientious of somebody has a different opinion, somebody has a different want, someone has a different like all of those things.
Yeah,
And
I
that
guess
factors into your as long as we live together, that factors into our daily lives on a regular.
I think that's true. I also think that room has to be made for the very controlling and selfish, but also slightly evil personality he had. I mean, it's that's part of it too, which I don't know if that just comes from just being a single child. I think it comes from a warped environment. His, his parental figures were a part of that. The community he was in was a part of that. Honestly, I think the male privilege he has is a part of that. The group of other men influencing his life are a part of that.
No,
I
I
think it's
hear that.
all
I think
because
it
he has
is
a warped
a
sense of that. There's single children who aren't quite as warped. He's warped.
and some of the single parents that I mean, the only children singletons that I've seen, there's a lot of, and the only reason why I'm saying this is because, and the only reason why I have empathy in regard to this is because I have seen other people who are singletons behave in the same way, regardless of gender. So there are quite a bit of parallels. So that's why I'm saying, I do think those things are into account too. And the thing is, because life is so dynamic that you don't know, even if you have the same input for two different children, you don't know how it's going to turn out for them. You know what I mean? You just don't know. That's just the game of parenting, right? You don't know what you're getting out of it. You just don't know. But at the end of that is, like I said, I've seen some similarity between, it has been different genders, and there's a lot of similarities between what we've seen parent number 2 do and this other individual mainly do, because I know these two are the closest to understanding just because they have a little bit more information to understand. And there's a lot of similarities, a lot of similarities. And that's why, like, don't get me wrong, I did think there's some other facets to, like, parent number two. Just because there's some other, I think, health, maybe even mental health things going on that also factor into certain. But both are abusive. Both are abusive. Both are very concerned about self. Both are very like, it's me or my kids, and different things like that. So, you know, if we're comparing apples to apples here, and the apples are appling. So,
yeah. I guess I don't know. I guess I don't know too many people who are single. Besides our parent, I'm trying to think. I think I know one other person who's like a single child, only child.
Who?
Well, I don't want to say their name, but it's a child.
Oh, got it. Okay, I think I knew who you're talking about. You can put it in the chat if you want, but
yeah, well, I think you got it. But oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Anyways, okay. I guess we should.
I wonder if that's a generational thing though, because I'm like, think about it, like age-wise, they're roughly in the same age category, right? Some of the people you're talking about.
No, that person's younger than our mom. So she's like in the young. She's in the like latter part of that generation, of mom's generation.
I feel like that whole generation is effed up. I'm gonna hold you.
Yeah.
I think anybody directly raised by boomers was just lost.
Yeah, I can see that.
Unfortunately, because I'm like, I think some of my interactions I've had with boomers, just now I'm like,
yeah, I think boomers. I mean, I think, don't be wrong, I think every generation is going to say the next generation is terrible. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's just like how that goes, right? But I do think that the boomers have created.
They're historically known for this.
Yeah, and I think the boomers were able to create a world that really, really benefited them, but everybody else is being sucked dry because of it. Yeah. And so that's the sucky part. I think that's why boomers get the worst rap, because they made life very happy and comfortable for them. And don't be wrong, I'm not saying that they didn't create work for them, you know what I mean? But now everybody else is suffering because of the setup that they created. So it is interesting.
Think about every boomer you know. Seriously. Every boomer. Do you even have a good relationship with every boomer?
Miserable.
Any boomer. I don't.
But miserable.
They're all miserable. Every last one.
That is the token word for boomers. Miserable.
They're like older and miserable. And it's like,
yeah, they are.
You're supposed to be living it up, buddy.
Angry, miserable, and just like trying to make the world. But just because they live in hell, they want you to also live there. And it's like, no. Nope.
I mean, I don't want to just cast every single boomer off, because I'm sure there's wonderful boomers out there.
Yeah,
but I'm like, I'm telling you, I have not come across a single boomer, and like we've interacted with a lot of older people in our lives.
Yeah, I like old people. Those are my favorites. So
yeah, I've never met a single boomer that I was like, man, that is just a sweet soul. Totally.
I have a few times, but it's rare. Like, I mean, maybe I can count on my hand. Well, like maybe they start 5 times. Being
sweet, then you be like, hold on now, what did Jesus say?
Yeah. I will say they live by a different code book, you know, so I think that also factors into it. But it's like, just because you subscribe to that don't mean I do. So, sorry, babes. Respect is respect is respect. If it's given, it's received. And that a lot of boomers don't understand that concept. They're like, just because I'm old, you have to respect me. And it's like,
it's very much that like old school mentality.
Yeah, or that's like, not how I was raised, babes.
I feel like sometimes they see like younger people who are making drastically different decisions. Like, our generation is very much, okay, we don't have to subscribe to this standard, because there really is no standard anymore. And we don't have to, follow this lifestyle that's going to possibly lead me towards what I see my parents and grandparents doing. And we're like free because of it now. And I think they get angry. I think they do at times get angry, because it's like, dang, they really just decided not to do it. And like, they're like prancing around the world and like yachts and shit. Like,
I don't know if they get angry because I don't think they're angry because we're not doing it. I think they're angry because they feel like,
I think they're angry because I don't think they're angry because we're not doing what they did. I think they're like more like, dang, I really could have.
I don't think so. I think they're angry
choices.
because they think that they have really set up something great for us because they have truly benefited from it. So it's like, why not just do it? And it's like, it's a different time, babes.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a different time. They feel like because they had to do these things and like work hard that we should be working 10 times harder to have the things that they have. And subscribe to a system that, to be honest, is only benefiting them at this point. You know, to be fair, the boomers are still booming because of off of our backs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Something like we can think about property, right? The boomers, especially if you're buying a house that's already been owned, typically you're going to buy your home from a boomer. You know what I mean? That's who's had the home for however many years. Those are the people who had the money to save up and buy the homes in the first place and things like that. So you're robbing off of our backs. You know what I mean? The boomers have had the time and the energy and the resources to finance things in a smaller fashion in a quicker time because money got you a lot further than it does now. You were able to save more and, you know, different things like that. Even like, you know, I don't believe in this necessarily, but traditionally speaking, once families merge, you had leverage there. You know, now you don't have that side of the window. That's gone. We don't have that anymore.
Like, it's really everybody for themselves. There was no...
Yeah.
So
there's no communal aspect to it really anymore.
And I think people get in partnerships because they like financially sometimes have to.
Yeah,
like
sometimes.
It's not because it's this like romanticized, like this is just what you should do in your life. It's like, I need somebody else to also help pay the bills. And like, that's not what the boomer model was.
Yeah, no. You had more leverage in picking and choosing who you wanted to be. Now it's not even necessarily... Some things are just chosen for you out of basic financial like necessities. Yeah.
And I think also too, like, you know, people our age are just saying, you know what, regardless, like, I'm not going to be miserable and I'm going to find a way to do what I also want to do. And I think that's what I call the freedom. I think that level of freedom they did not conscious or culturally accept. I'm not gonna say they didn't have it, but like just being, you know, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, whatever, and being like, you know what, no, I'm gonna start this business. I'm gonna do XYZ because sitting at a desk is going to not only make me miserable, but it's gonna actually actively rob me of my labor. And
yeah, but I think it was a different time then. Like they were excited to work.
The thing is, I think our generation is working differently. I think we're working hard.
Yeah. I think, and you can't knock, you know, people's hustles. Now that's the one thing we got with the boomer. Like our hustle is going to look different because first of all, to be fair, boomers, when you were getting $50,000 back in the day, we are still making that same thing for more work. You know, we got 3 job titles. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, you're doing more work. You're doing more work. You have less time to do things, and so it's not worth it. You have,
I agree.
I still can't get a house. You know what I mean? Car payments are sky high. So
personally,
it's like,
I think that younger generations work more because we're working for the same amount that they were working for, and we have higher bills, so we are working more.
I think
we're working more than they ever did.
The physical time of like actual labor is a little bit, I think, less, but I think the mental load is what's more. Because now now it's not just, you know, I think back in the boomers days, you could go and clock in, make your money, and you knew that your bills were covered.
And go home. That's it.
And go home.
But I'm saying
now
most people our age have a side hustle that.
Yeah,
so, like
side
some
hustle,
kind of extra.
second
That's what
job.
I'm saying. I think we are working more.
Yeah, no, I mean probably to be honest. Yeah, probably
for the same amount.
Probably, to be fair.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, how many boomers you know talk about a side hustle?
Oh no,
they had that one hustle and retired. That's it.
Yeah.
Or they still doing the same thing.
Yeah.
No type of side hustle.
Or they'll retire and just go get another job. Like it's, you know.
Yeah, it's like if anything, they might move to a different job, but it's not a job hop situation.
But they're, collecting 2 and 3 and 4 retirement checks. So
yeah.
Thanks for listening to part 1 of our discussion on releasing unmet expectations. Don't forget to join us next week for part 2. Bye, everybody.